All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Todd Burlingame. I'm the CEO of eTech Resources, and I'd like to welcome you all to our third quarter update for the Eureka Project. I started in this role with eTech in July 18th, 2023, and over the past 3 months, I've been able to take a look at the operation, the opportunity, and get a chance to meet the people. I'd also like to welcome Dustin Angelo, the CEO of Novamera, who will be discussing their innovative mining technology and our plans to investigate its application to the Eureka Project. Please be advised this webinar contains forward-looking statements, and future results and developments discussed in these statements may be affected by numerous factors and risks beyond the company's control. Here's a outline of what we plan on covering here over the next while. We're just going to introduce you to the board and the team, do a project overview, cover some of the project activities, and then focus on 4 different areas of undertakings which we're pursuing in parallel: exploration, mineral resource, metallurgy, and sustainability. We'll talk about the path forward, summarize things, and then if we have time left over, we will have Q&A. When we get to talking about the mineral resource and some of our plans there, we're going to ask Dustin to jump in and explain how the application of Novamera's technology might be involved in advancing our project. eTech's Eureka Rare Earth Project is located in the Erongo mining corridor of Namibia. There's several operational mines within this area, and existing infrastructure and in-country mining capacity combine to make this jurisdiction amongst the top tier of African countries to operate in. There's highway access, proximity to rail and power, it's accessible topography, and there's a resident skilled workforce, which are all in favor of us taking our project and advancing it. The critical rare earth elements which are prominent within the Eureka deposits include neodymium and praseodymium. As you're aware, these elements are essential in the manufacturing of supermagnets that are used in power generation, like wind turbines, traction motors in electric vehicles, marine thrusters, and other applications that are forming the basis of a lower carbon economy. There's a lot of confusion in the rare earth element space, but there is one consistent fact that it seems like most parties can agree on. There's increasing demand and a supply shortfall of these key elements forecast over the next decades. We're going to talk a little later about the key to capitalizing on this supply and demand gap, and there's really 3 components to it. One is having a mineable resource. The second is having a mineralogy that's favorable for product refinement. And the third is having a pathway to near-term production. It's my personal opinion, and I'm confident in saying that I believe eTech's Eureka project ticks all of these boxes. We're a junior exploration company. We trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Last year has been challenging for eTech, like many others, but our 5-person board has stood by us. They've maintained their support for the company, and they continue to eye 2024 as a critical year for the advancement of the Eureka project. Other companies may have slowed down, but eTech's taken the initiative to increase our land holdings, engage new management, focus on the significant exploration potential of this project, advance metallurgical test work, and seek a near-term pathway to production. In addition to the technical initiatives, eTech has proven its commitment to achieving a high standard of corporate social responsibility by investing in the community and ensuring that the operations are conducted in compliance with regulatory and industry best practices. Here's the core of the team, the heart of the operation. It's our exploration team. At eTech, we directly employ geologists and field technicians. We're the face of the company and our eyes on the situation. The quality assurance and quality control of their field data is closely monitored and meets or exceeds exploration industry best practices. The health and safety of our employees is at the forefront of our operations. And we are sincerely proud to have these professionals as part of our company, and we're committed to ensure that they have the tools and resources they need to do their jobs safely and securely. The land position that we hold is shown here. The original tenement, EPL 6762, hosts the discovery deposits of zone 1 through 3, and they're shown in black here to the left. Outcrops limited, however, large monazite crystals, which host the valuable rare earth elements that we're after, can be found on surface across the property. With the acquisition of EPL 8748, we now have covered the entire Eureka Dome structure, as well as the additional yet to be explored surrounding areas. So the Eureka Dome itself, shown in blue here, it's about 12.5 kilometers long and 6 kilometers wide, so about 56 square kilometers of aerial extent. So far, our focus in exploration has been, of course, on the original EPL. The learnings, though, that we've gained from this extensive exploration are directly transferable to our future explorations across the entire land package. This shows a timeline of the exploration activities, which began by ETEC in 2016. There's been mapping, radiometric surveys, drilling, geochem sampling programs, and other prospecting and mapping exercises. In addition to the exploration activities shown here, we've also initiated a preliminary resource evaluation, processing, and met work. Collectively, the results of this work provide the information that we need to map out an exploration and development plan that'll allow us to realize the untapped potential of the tenements, identify the additional resources, and advance down a path to commercialization. How are we going to do it? Well, we're now moving forward to a new phase. And this will see us pursuing 4 key areas of activity in parallel. But it's really important to understand that these must be progressed simultaneously and in parallel, because it's particularly important within the rare earth element space. Many of you know, the key to value creation with rare earths is the ability to refine products needed to support the green movement, not just simply discover them. The results of our early met work are favorable and have positioned us for establishing the Eureka project as a viable source of critical rare earth elements within a realistic time frame. So let's focus on exploration first. At the beginning of Q3, we took stock of the learnings from the previous exploration programs. And going through this process allowed us to validate assumptions and just confirm our approach to exploration of the Eureka Dome. Exploration, as you all know, is a process of collecting data, analyzing it, and adapting methods to improve the accuracy of targeting. A successful exploration program is based on adaptive management of the situation as the knowledge of the geology improves. With all the work that has been previously done, we're confident that the future exploration of the dome is going to yield some positive results. Our go-forward approach is focused on the identification and delineation of economic mineralization. And that's going to be underpinned, all of our activities, by operational safety. Our programs will utilize the best available technology and state-of-the-art equipment to identify new resources across the Eureka Dome. The early phases of the exploration focused on the discovery zones, of course, and they were successful in identifying multiple rare earth mineralization occurrences throughout EPL 6762. Many of the targets that were identified were originally mapped out as similar scale deposits. This shows the areas where the high density geochem soil sampling programs were completed. You can see there's mineralization. It was successful. They identified these areas. But it also, you can see that mineralization potentially expands beyond the area survey. It goes right up. The survey stopped in mineralization. So it's not ridiculous to assume that mineralization could be existing beyond just those areas that were targeted. So how are we going to go and find this out? Well, a couple of ways. By having adopted the portable XRF technology in field analysis, we're now able to move forward with incorporating these analysis in real time and eliminate the need for doing assays on potentially dead samples. This approach was adopted in early 2023, and it's allowed ETEC to speed up our exploration programs while providing accurate results. Now, in August, we took a look at these results, and we conducted a review of the results of that detailed sampling program. The objective of that exercise was to determine the optimal grid spacing required to identify the anomalies without missing targets. It was determined that a wider space grid pattern would still provide the results needed to identify areas of interest, and that those areas could be infilled at a later time once the targets were prioritized. So what does this mean? It means that we can now plan and commence larger scale geochem programs and cover a lot more ground in a shorter period of time with less cost. ETEC's proud to have engaged Gecko Namibia to increase the bench strength of our exploration team. They have a proven track record of successful exploration and resource delineation throughout Namibia and Africa, including other rare earth element projects. Their expertise and reputation for efficiency will assist ETEC in realizing the full potential of our exploration dollars. The adoption of a reconnaissance scale geochem program with the added technical expertise is now allowing us to launch a geotechnical sampling program, geochemical sampling program that's going to cover virtually the entire area of 6762, and we'll have that done before Christmas. So in other words, if you think back to the previous slide, those areas where they ended in mineralization, we're going to now capture. In addition to this, to the expanded geochem survey, we've been in discussions with Gecko and their sister company, Flytech, to undertake test programs of select areas of the dome using UAV-borne ultra-high resolution magnetic surveys. This state-of-the technology, combined with a reconnaissance geochem, is going to allow us to further refine our targeting and set us up for a successful 2024 drill program. So we're excited about the potential of the entire dome. The mineral and we are confident that through the application of new technology, program efficiencies, and lessons learned, that 2024 is going to be a breakthrough year. Our understanding of the Eureka Dome and the identification of multiple new mineral occurrences is evolving and improving with every sample we take. So now we move in and discuss the resource. What you see here is a cross-section through the mineralized wireframe. So in other words, in the 43101 technical report that was conducted by SRK, this was published. This shows a cross-section of the mineralization projected from the drill data that we had collected and the report was based on. A maiden inferred mineral resource was produced. And since that publication of that report in 2021, additional reverse circulation drilling, diamond drilling, and assay data has been collected. We want to do an update of our mineral resource estimate with this new data, but we haven't yet initiated that. It's ETEC's intention to update this to include the new data. And as part of this, we've entered into an MOU with Novamera to investigate the use of alternative mining methods that could potentially unlock stranded resources, lower project risk and CapEx, reduce tailings costs and environmental liabilities, and achieve a faster ore production and permitting path. So I'm so happy to have Dustin Angelo here to talk to us about the technology. And I will hand it over to you, Dustin.
All right. Well, thanks, Todd. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Todd, I do appreciate the time to be on this webinar with you. So at Novamera, what we have developed are data-driven hardware and software solutions that enable mining companies to surgically extract ore and leave the excess waste in the ground. So we've developed the enabling technologies. The drilling equipment exists. What we're doing is layering on the enabling technologies to allow mining companies to now take those conventional drills. They're typically large diameter drills that have cutting head sizes of up to 2 or 3 meters in diameter, and now turn those conventional drills into surgical devices. And the way that we've done that is we've created a couple different technologies. One is our guidance tool that is a downhole probe that is the first phase of surgical mining, where we deploy that tool on a standard NQ size core rig. You don't need any modifications to the rig, and it's deployed down the dip of the vein deposit. And just on the right there is kind of a caricature of a vein deposit. So you can imagine deploying the tool every 3 meters as you add core pipe to your drill. And we're taking surveys that go about up to 3 to 4 meters in radius around the borehole to identify those interfaces between the mineralized zone and the wall rock. And what we're doing is, as we move down the dip of the vein, we're collecting all that data and stitching together to create a 3D ore body model for each one of those. And again, that character on the right, you can imagine that each one of those cylinders is that data being collected to be able to ultimately put together this 3D model of the entire deposit and get a very, very high resolution picture of that deposit, more so than you would get with traditional cross-cutting holes, because we're getting data points at basically every 3 meters. So we're getting thousands of % more data points than you would with traditional cross-cutting holes that are maybe on 25-meter centers. So with that additional data is what enables you to get that really high resolution information. So now that you can be surgical, because to be able to go in there and extract an ore body using drills, you need a lot more definition around that ore body than you get with traditional drilling. And so we're also doing this all in real time. So this is part of the production process, and it's the first phase of that. So you can imagine doing that imaging first, and then once you know where to go, right? Now, once you've got that trajectory, because our guidance tool ultimately at the end of the day is building that 3D ore body model, and then it's creating the optimal drilling trajectory to optimize and maximize the amount of ore that's recovered. And those trajectories are what need to be followed by the large diameter drills. But once you know where to go, you still have to stay on course. So we've developed technologies that essentially attach to those large diameter drills. And those drills, just to digress a second, they could be from surface. They could be pile top drill rigs, which use reverse circulation airlift assist to be able to do really low energy, cost-effective cuttings transport back to surface. Or this can be done from underground using other types of microtunnelers or raised boring machines that you modify to basically to flip over and go down versus up. So there's lots of different large diameter tools, and it's our technology that sort of enables them to be surgical. So when you're thinking about that extraction phase, you have to position this drill in the right spot. So we have a position control system. Oh, you want to flip back the. There you go. There you go. There it is. We have a position control system that collars the hole in the right spot, and it can change for dip and azimuth. And then as you're drilling down and reaming out the material, you want to stay on course. You want to basically follow that cylinder. And with being able to drill on angles, you can drill typically up to between 60-degree dip angle up to 90 degrees. That's kind of not hard and fast rules, but generally speaking, when you're on those angles, you're succumbing to gravity. There's mixed face. So there's a lot of things that are sort of factors that create deviation, and you need to stay on course. And we've created a course correction device that goes in the bottom hole assembly of the drill to stay on course. And then we manage all this and handle all this smart drilling using our control logic, which is essentially measured while drilling technology. And so that process is what Novamera's technologies enable. And then part of that process as well is, once you've got those open holes, the third stage is to backfill those holes. So as you're going along, you're progressively doing your imaging, and then you're drilling, and then backfilling. And it's all a continuous cycle as you move down the strike length of the vein. Right? So you get progressive reclamation. So that's the technologies that we created, and sort of the process. Because of these technologies, we've created the surgical mining process. Todd, if you want to go to the next slide. So what does that mean for companies like ETAC? Well, they can take these smaller scale deposits, maybe in typical cases, there may be stranded deposits, and they're mineral resources, but now they can turn them into mineable reserves. And that's because there's a couple key things from an economic standpoint that happens to enable this to create a valuable project out of it. First and foremost is, with surgical mining, you're not creating large open pits, and you're certainly not developing all that underground infrastructure, right? So all that upfront cost that you can think about, that's virtually eliminated. So from an NPV and IRR standpoint, you don't have all of that to overcome in the beginning of your project. This is a scalable solution. So even junior mining companies can start smaller with 1 or 2 drills and then scale up as necessary. So you don't need to have all your CapEx and all your dollars and money upfront to be able to get going with surgical mining. So you're, without all that development too, you're faster in the ore. So again, from an NPV standpoint, you're generating cash pretty quickly. And with the flexibility in the operation, our technologies and the software that we have related to our technologies, we're able to create the mine plans and the sequencing of those of the ore body for extraction. And with that, you can plan better. You got a lot more flexibility compared to an open pit underground, with targeting the higher grade areas first, so that you can maximize your NPV and your IRR. And then, of course, there's some downstream savings as well. The product that's coming out from these large drills, you can basically bypass. You can bypass primary crushing, which is very energy intensive. And then also, as I mentioned before, when you have this backfilling of the holes, you're using the tailings from that from the material that's been processed, right? So then those holes become landform tailings facilities. So your reliance on and your cost for tailings facilities reduces dramatically, and probably most importantly, all the risk around having to maintain tailings facilities. So, there's just not the economic benefits here too. From an environmental standpoint, a social standpoint, it ticks all the boxes. It's smaller footprint mining, so you have a lot less waste. I mentioned the tailings that you can put back into the ground. It's a closed loop system, so from a water perspective, you don't need a lot of water, and you're not discharging water. From a social perspective, this is drilling, so you're not using blasting. And so the local communities won't have to deal with blast schedules. And there's a lot less dust and noise. So a lot of the environmental issues, the social issues, and around getting permitting and social license, this type of technology and this methodology helps to mitigate a lot of that. And again, this all comes back down to time, value, money. If you can get your permits faster, you can get your communities on site faster, it only makes your project that much more valuable. And then, of course, from a safety perspective, huge issue here. As you can see, using drills, you're not at the face, so you're getting, you're reducing your potential for harmful accidents greatly. So, there's a lot of upside in using this technology and surgical mining, and I think that's something that Todd has seen, and we appreciate the opportunity to be working with him, and we're doing that through this MOU that he mentioned. That the memorandum of understanding is essentially the codification of the journey that we're going to take together. Right, we're going to be working with Todd and his team over the next several months, doing activities and milestones that take us from today all the way through to implementing surgical mining at his site. And all these milestones that we'll have in place, what they're meant to do is to be able to incrementally understand the value, the applicability, the risk, and how to mitigate risk, and how the operation will integrate. And all these things will be learned over time, and ultimately being able to make this a clear decision to be able to do surgical mining at a much lower risk. And so that process is a number of milestones where we'll be doing things like economic evaluations, desktop studies, to understand sort of what the general economics are of the mine using surgical mining. We'll be in the field calibrating our imaging tool, that guidance tool that does the first stage of surgical mining, of course, going into a bulk sample and then getting ready for ultimate commercialization. But it's this process that I think, it makes it very clear for both us and Todd and his team as to how we're going to go through this and the value creation steps along the way. Todd, you're on mute.
Thanks, Dustin. And now, obviously, this technology can't be applied to every single deposit, and the deposit geometry is going to be critical when the economic evaluation utilizing this technology is assessed. The one thing that I find very interesting is on the discovery zones, the deposit geometry appears at first blush to lend itself to a subvertical mining technology such as this. The other advantages, which you've already outlined, Dustin, include things like eliminating fugitive dust. If you have an open pit scenario, that's always an issue. There's no guarantees that this will be the single or primary method of extraction at this deposit, but it is definitely a viable technique or technology to investigate at this stage. And I think by looking at this early, we're going to be able to find where is that sweet spot. And in fact, is this the way that we're going to continue? So we're very happy to be partnered with you. This kind of technology, I think, is the way of the future for the right types of mineral deposits or deposit geometries, as I've said. And quite frankly, we could perhaps envision utilization of this technology increasing our resource base. So thank you again, Dustin. Perhaps if you can hang around for a minute, there might be questions for you if we have time for them at the end. Let's talk a little bit about mineralogy or metallurgy, because as I said earlier, there were 4 areas that we were pursuing in parallel. Now, Eureka, in addition to that exploration work and the mineral resource work completed, we've undertaken some ore beneficiation test work, and the results of this process has been extremely favorable. It's produced a monazite concentrate with a greater than 60% total rare earth oxide content. Approximately 100 kilograms of this concentrate's been produced, and it's now housed in a facility in South Africa. Now, monazite concentrate, as many of you know, is recognized as an acceptable and in some cases preferred feedstock, which lends itself to further refinement for cracking and subsequent separation into individual oxides. Those individual oxides are then turned into alloys and metals, and a lot of them become magnets, the supermagnets we talked about earlier. So small samples of this concentrate have been sent to processing facilities and academic institutions, and initial reviews have been positive. We're now in the process of trying to arrange to have some of this monazite concentrate delivered to a facility for bench scale test work in either late 2023 or early 2024. Again, all indications are that the bench scale work will help validate and underpin the processability of our concentrate. But until that's done, we'll just continue to advance our test work. Further along the metallurgy theme here, lines of mineral processing, Namibia has passed legislation that requires secondary processing, or in other words, additional refining of products to take place within the country. This isn't unique to Namibia. Many jurisdictions have adopted this, and it's overall probably a very good thing. ETEC's committed to being an active participant in the growth of the rare earth industry in Namibia, and we believe that the significant resource potential that we have in the Eureka Dome, the processability of the ore, and the ability to potentially achieve a near-term path to production definitely puts us in line to be a viable producer of Namibian critical rare earth elements. So we're committed to work with our industry partners, governments, and the communities to make sure that Namibia secures its place in the global rare earth element supply chain. So all the previous works put us up for success, but this day and age doesn't make that enough. A great project simply isn't going to cut it. We have to actively prove our commitment to sustainable mining practices and not just simply greenwash potential investors, shareholders, and stakeholders. I think the Novamera discussion that we just had shows that approach, our commitment to innovation and adopting the best practices, state-of-the-art technologies to make this happen. We're very proud to have Dr. Frances Wall on our board of directors. Her experience and commitment to the participation of mining in the circular economy aligns with our objectives. And we believe that even junior exploration and mining companies have a role to play, and the path to sustainable mining begins with the first strike of a rock hammer. In that vein, this year, ETEC sponsored a reverse osmosis community project. ETEC provided the financial support, and ETEC employees contributed their impressive skills to build and install the freshwater system for the community. In July, the plant was commissioned and went into operation. ETEC believes this is more than just a news press release or news release. It does show our commitment to the community and our efforts to make our exploration and development operations beneficial at every stage of development. So we are very proud that ETEC and its employees continue to support the maintenance and operation of this system, which provides water, the literal essence of life to the community. And it's a job well done. The people on the ground there that you saw on a previous slide, our exploration team, deserve all the credit in the world for their participation in this initiative. So we're moving forward. That's the message I'm trying to convey. We're confident in our approach and in our potential. We have lots of positive attributes that are contributing to our success. It's a steep mountain to climb, but it's a mountain worth climbing. We're currently in discussions with parties interested in becoming part of the ETEC story. We look forward to providing you with another update in January, when we will have more news on our progress. And we hope to continue to establish ourselves as a significant participant in the emerging rare earth element supply chain in Namibia. This is getting close to the end of our webinar. You see, I'm looking, we've got probably 10 minutes left, so we might have some time for questions. There's a little project information or financial information. If you have any questions, perhaps you can use your chat function and we'll see if we can provide you with some answers. Let me see if I can figure this out here. So I'm looking at this here, and Dustin, I think this would be one for you.
Okay.
So how will Novamera's approach affect both the potential amount of minerals that can be extracted from the project and the time speed to commercialization? Maybe you take a crack at it and I'll follow up.
Sure. Yeah, just a couple thoughts there. In terms of the amount of minerals, with this type of technology, the low cost, upfront cost, the relatively lower operating cost too, essentially you can lower your cutoff grades and make certain value rock, more mineable. So I would say, this is probably in comparison to any kind of open pit analysis that's done before, but the ability to sort of get at the rock with a lot less waste and a lot less cost will kind of make some of the deposit more mineable. And the depth that the drilling can go at this point, comfortably we say these drills can go about 300 meters. So if the mineralization is continuing at depth, you can pick up more of it, so you can add more to your overall mineral resource and mineable reserves. In terms of the, how can we strive providing time to speed to commercialization? One of the things we didn't talk about with our guidance tool is the fact that it's used in a surgical mining application, but could also be used at the exploration level, infill level, where you can supplement your traditional cross-cutting holes with using the guidance tool and drilling down dip, and understanding sort of the width of the ore bodies and getting that really high resolution picture of it. You're not going to pick up more grade, but you'll certainly understand the ore body geometry. And we've done our own case study so far on sort of the, comparing an infill study to a traditional infill study to using imaging to be able to infill a certain area of a deposit. And what we've calculated is that you can reduce your time by as much as almost 40%, and the amount of drilling you're doing by about 50%, and the cost reductions around 40% reduction. So, when you think about what it takes in order to sort of delineate an ore body, if you can cut that kind of time, cost, and meterage out of your programs, you'll get to commercialization faster because you'll delineate the ore body faster, and you'll be moving through that process of development a lot faster.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. I'm going to try and add a couple other points here. When I look at this technology, you're right. This could potentially open up resources at depth that may not be currently seen as economic because of strip ratios through conventional open pit mining, etc. But also, when I look at it from the approvals process, I see potentially that this type of mining would have less headwinds when you're eliminating things such as tailings ponds, the massive footprint of large open pits, etc. The social acceptance, the social licensability, so to speak, I think could be something that would be advantageous in speeding up that time to commercialization. I also think that the economic modeling, when you look at a financial model for mining development here, people are now casting that further out to closure and beyond. And when you start looking at the full life cycle of a mining development and you start putting these different aspects in, you can't just look at the immediate cost per ton. You have to look at the whole equation. And that's going to influence your economic decision and get yourself to a financial decision point far quicker. So again, I don't want to leave the impression that this is what we're doing right now. I want to emphasize this is something that we are investigating, and it's worth investigating and taking very seriously. I'm bullish. I'm optimistic. I think the deposit geometry, the depth of the ore body that we found to date, could see this technology being, at least at a minimum, part of an overall mining scenario for this project.
And if I may just add on to that, like in terms of sort of evaluating, as Todd said, the company's evaluating this technology, Novamera has done a number of economic evaluations of deposits. We've been in the field doing test work. We've done a proof of concept on the entire surgical mining cycle. We've been in the field a number of times with our imaging tool. We've done a demonstration project with Newmont and Vale and Oz Minerals. And so the point of all that is that we're at a stage now where we're very confident in our technology, but more so for especially Todd's purposes early on is we've got a good handle on the economics. What is the cost of these drills? What's the cost, the operating cost, the capital cost? What are the operating metrics? What kind of penetration rates can you get? Things of that nature. Like we've done a lot of work on that, so that the economic model that we'll ultimately put together for Todd and his team, will be grounded in some real information, real data. It's not theoretical. So that will ideally give more confidence to the team that this is a potential option for them to be able to develop the project.
Okay, thank you. See another question here about asking for an update on the Namibian joint venture processing project. So Rian, I'm just going to back up a couple of slides here, and bear with me, folks. Yes, the Rare Earth Alliance of Namibia. This initiative is started by Namibia Critical Metals, and ETEC is a proud participant in this. The objective is to try and ensure that the legislative changes which have occurred in Namibia that I referred to before, of ensuring that additional processing of raw materials takes place within the country, are met. Again, all of this feeds in quite nicely. These other participants in the rare earth space in Namibia have projects at different stages, different attributes. I think ETech has some tremendous mineralogy, again, the deposit geometry that we are aware of thus far, the exploration potential, that when you look at the entire landscape, this group is going to be able to move forward and put together a model that will see Namibia actually becoming part of that secure global supply chain for these critical minerals, in particular the rare earths. Right now, I think there's some efforts that are undergoing trying to find interest in conducting a couple of analytical studies on where in the supply chain would be most optimal for Namibia, but the progress on that hasn't advanced far enough to any decisions being made or any studies being committed to at this time, not to my knowledge at least. Okay, I see we've got about 3 minutes left in our time slot, and I'm not seeing any other questions. Dustin, I really do appreciate you providing some insight into your technology. I look forward to keeping people apprised of how we progress with this. I would love to be able to get some equipment on the ground sooner rather than later and actually test this process, but we're going to have to see if the piggy bank is large enough to let us do that in the new year. And I'm pretty confident we're going to get some traction here because there's a lot of positive elements that are lining up for this company.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me, and yeah, we're pretty excited to be part of this project. We think you got a great project and a great opportunity here, and however we can support you, we certainly will.
Okay. Well, listen, folks, last call for questions, and I'm not seeing anything. So I want to thank you all very much. I also want to thank the investors who participated in the financial raise this July. We greatly appreciate your confidence in the company, and we will guard your investment religiously and make sure every dime is put towards making this project come to fruition. So with that, folks, please stay tuned. Tell your friends. Tune in again. We'll see you in January. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.